Yeah, all right. Let's talk about credible neutrality, or as sometimes people say, censorship resistance. And of course, that is, to me, something that really got me into the space was this promise of we have a platform, and on this platform, everyone is treated equally. So it's different from the platforms we were used to, all the Web 2 platforms, where there was more or less a single platform operator that could at any time decide to change the rules against you, increase fees randomly, decide what's allowed, what's not allowed, and in arbitrary ways act against you. Of course, the promise of Web3 was we build neutral platforms. We build platforms that can act as a settlement layer for the world, that have this extreme level of reliability and neutral credibility. So one way to kind of quantify that, or kind of to define that, how could a credible neutral platform look like, would be if two transactions are there and they both pay the same fee, they should be treated equally, regardless of their content, regardless of what the transaction is doing. And let's look whether that is currently the case. And as I think many of you know, it's currently not the case that transactions are treated equally in Ethereum. Probably most of you remember last year when this graph was going up, and we had that was looking at relays, and almost at some point 80% of all or transactions were censored or not credibly neutral. They would not allow specific kind of transactions. But then in last year, November, that was roughly October, November, a few things happened, a few new relays came in, and kind of the trend reversed. And now, at least looking at that chart, the uncensored transactions or the neutral transactions are still now, the majority of all transactions on Ethereum, but that's only one part of the picture. In reality, we are again at only a small fraction of blocks being produced with that statement that I shared in the beginning being true. And that is, in this case, and kind of to look at it in all its detail, it's a complex matter, but certainly one way to look at it is block builders. And right now on Ethereum, almost around 70% of all blocks are built by builders that, in that case, would not include, for example, a transaction to Tornado Cash, let's say. And if we look deeper, it's actually kind of even worse, the situation. So right now we still have like 30% of all blocks that would include a transaction to, for example, Tornado. But that really kind of right now depends on just one entity. So here are the top builders. And you can see out of those here builder 69 is producing 5%. I'm not sure you can read the numbers. Here's that is 5%. So essentially all the large ones are all censoring. The only exception is Titan Builder. So if Titan Builder would tomorrow, and they could do that, if they decide tomorrow to also censor, Ethereum would be again at way above 90% of all blocks not being credible neutral. So of course, censorship is one way to look at it, but if you can censor, if you can decide to not include transactions at all, well, then you can also impose all kind of other rules. So similar to Apple in the App Store, where they say, okay, you cannot release a crypto wallet that allows to trade NFTs unless you pay the 30% Apple Tech Store. In a similar way, if builders or whoever has the ability to censor transactions, they also have the ability to impose, again, arbitrary rules. And again, we are back to a situation where we do not have a credible neutral platform. And of course, that was all talking about Ethereum. So Ethereum is kind of, in a way, the best thing we have for censorship resistance. And on top of that, there are the layer 2s. And of course, the layer 2s cannot be more credible neutral than the thing they built on top. Instead, they, of course, introduce more points of central control, and of course can therefore act less as credible neutral platforms. And don't get me wrong, so I think layer 2s are totally useful, and it's fine. Not everything needs to be a credible neutral platform, or doesn't have to have that level of censorship resistance, but I think some systems should have it. Also kind of for those, let's say layer 2s to be able to be built, it requires this neutral underlying platform. So enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution, and a quick word about Gnosis chain. So all of that, what I'm going to talk to you about the solution that in the same way applies to Ethereum, but we are kind of currently building it for our chain, Gnosis chain. So Gnosis chain, just quickly, is a chain that uses the same technology as Ethereum, and that means including the proof of stake consensus mechanism. We also have a beacon chain. We have currently 160,000 validators. We really put a lot of effort on credible neutrality and a wide set of validators. So we really try to make it as easy as possible to become a validator on our chain. The most obvious thing is that the capital requirement is much lower. So currently it's just $150 in stake that you need to become one of those validators anyhow. So, but other than that, the systems are pretty much the same. And again, if we build a solution for Gnosis, it can be used for Ethereum as well. So what is the solution to this censorship or credible neutrality platform? Something we call shutterized beacon chain. And the core idea is that we need to encrypt, in a way, the mempool, and that we need to make sure that you can get a transaction into the chain while it's still encrypted. So basically, going back to my first slide, two transactions should be treated equally regardless of their content. And of course, that is something you can achieve with encryption, because if the thing is encrypted, you can't read the content, so you cannot treat transactions different based on their content. So very quickly, again, the general idea is the chain first generates a public key. Now users can submit their transactions, but in an encrypted way, of course, using that key. Only after that, or now kind of the encrypted transaction gets included. Again, no censorship possible because you can't see what it actually is. Then the chain releases the key, and then kind of it's already too late to censor it. Then it needs to be executed in a deterministic way. So quickly going, not in too much detail, but quickly going into it. So first question, how can a chain generate a key? Fortunately, there is a technique called distributed key generation. Roughly speaking, you pick a subset of the validators of the chain. Of course, you randomly pick it, and they can perform kind of a protocol where, let's say, out of 100 validators, they together in a protocol generate a key in such a way that none of those validators has the key, so no one is able to read those transactions when they are sent to the network, and only after they are kind of put onto the chain, then those 100 validators, or we call them keepers, release each share. And if 2/3 of those release their share, then the key can be constructed, all the transactions can be read and executed. So quickly going over this, roughly the process is you have a block, let's say block 101, and there you can already include a transaction for the next block, but it's encrypted, and only after block 101 is proposed, then the keys or the key for the next block is released, and then in the next block, at the very top of the block, first the transactions that were kind of pre-committed will be executed in exactly that order, and only then you put new transactions in. Overall, that design is meant to solve two things. So one, the thing I've talked about, credible neutrality, censorship resistance, but of course it's also super useful for kind of some of the MEV problems in front running. So an obvious use case is you want to do a trade and you don't want to get front run or sandwich, so you can use this technique to get the transaction in, and essentially people can only see this transaction. When they can see the transaction, it will be too late. You can then no longer get a transaction in before. Yeah, not going into that in too much detail, so some details of, this queue is built on chain, and then, well, there's a limit of how much of those encrypted transactions can be executed, but I'm skipping over it. So we are building this for Gnosis chain, but again, it can be used in the same way for Ethereum, and we on purpose are building it in such a way that it can be kind of seen as an extension to the beacon chain, so it does not require a hard fork, it does not diverge from Ethereum. Instead, it's kind of an opt-in protocol built on top, the same way, let's say, MEV-Boost was built kind of just around the beacon chain, so validators decided to run in addition to the software, and they opted in. In the same way, we will allow validators to opt in into this mechanism and basically say, if you as a validator opt in, you are basically saying, I will build my blocks according to those additional rules. So I will, at the beginning of the block, include those pre-committed transactions, and only after that, well, then I'm still able to fill up the block with whatever transactions in whatever way as we are used to. So kind of just quick architecture slide. Again, we have this additional role. We call them keepers. They should be kind of eventually drawn randomly from the validator set in the same way, let's say currently the sync committee is drawn from the validator set. And again, they get this extra role of generating those keys and then releasing those keys once the time has come. And of course, the users, they can submit their transactions if they want. They can still use the old format and just submit the transaction unencrypted, but now they have this additional option to submit encrypted transactions. Kind of to make this work very smooth, or to eventually the client or the user who would submit the transaction, or the wallet, would need, of course, additional software to kind of to make the encryption, or to encrypt the transaction and send the encrypted transaction. To make this short-term very, very easy, we and others will offer just RPC endpoints that are just regular RPC endpoints, but that will then take the transaction, encrypt it, and put it on chain. Of course, that requires trust in this RPC provider, but of course, it's a very nice way to kind of get this thing going with minimal effort for users or wallets. Overall, this whole project is a collaborative effort of at least 3 entities. One is us, Gnosis, Gnosis DAO, Gnosis Chain. A second is a project called Shutter, who specifically developed this distributed key generation technique of generating this key and then releasing it. And of course, the last one is the Nethermind team, who we are working quite intensively with on Gnosis Chain, and they are kind of adding this protocol to their client as an opt-in scheme. So yeah, the current progress is, the core technology is developed. The GKG itself is already in production. Currently, we're building the contracts that, or again, I mean, the whole thing is built as an extension. So that is currently being built, and as I said, Nethermind is directly doing the part of this sharing or releasing the keys. They are adding that to their clients so that it will run via the regular peer-to-peer communication channel. So I can't give a date yet, but sometimes next year should be a realistic launch date for this. So thank you very much.